KNUS Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't agree with that.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
It's 8 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Wednesday, September 10th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Coming up this hour, we're going to talk with Barbara Kirkmeyer, state senator, top Republican on the Joint Budget Committee. She knows the Colorado budget inside and out. She the best to take on whatever Democrat, who's it, Michael Bennet or Phil Weiser that are running for governor? Goodness. Pale, stale, and male. That's what the Democrats always put up at the end of the day, whether you're Mike Johnston or Jared Polis or Michael Bennet or Phil Weiser. It's the same formula that gets you elected in the state. But we're going to talk with whether or not Barbara Kirkmeyer is the best to take on the Democrat establishment in the state. She's got a lot of Republicans in the race. Why is she best? Making her announcement yesterday. We're going to talk with her in just a few minutes, but now it's time for news and comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Good Wednesday morning, 60 and sunny in Denver, expecting a high of 90 today. This portion of the news sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, Senator Rand Paul exposes that Dr. Fauci directed employees of the NIH to, quote, destroy federal records, end of quote, and tried to conceal information related to a congressional investigation into COVID, and demands that Fauci testify before Senate. Quote, please delete this email after you read it, end of quote. That's what Fauci wrote. Rand Paul said he denied it under oath.
It's not my signature, and it's not the way I speak. And anybody that's covered me for a long time knows that's not my language. It's nonsense. And frankly, you're wasting your time. All you do is trying to get off the great success of D.C. and about 200 other things we've done that are so successful.
DJT addressing the phony baloney birthday card last night before he went into Joe's Seafood with VP JD and Marco Rubio. And people loved it in the restaurant. They were applauding him as he walked through the restaurant. The commies made their way into Joe's as well to compare the president to Hitler once again. Well, at least they didn't bring drums. Free Palestine. He's a Hitler.
I don't
of our
get
time.
how Secret Service allows this to happen.
I'm shocked that they were in there.
Oh,
I don't
you just
either.
get to walk, and they were not far away from him.
No,
they walked right
about
up,
like 15 feet away.
Yes.
That blew me away. Did they scan him beforehand?
Oh, the president's here. Oh, please interrupt this restaurant. And you got to imagine that the manager of the restaurant, everybody's got to. Nobody wants that.
That was crazy.
Disrupts
it was.
business?
I think it is toward the entrance. If the video shows that, yeah, it's kind of toward the entrance, I guess. But yeah, I'm like you. I'm like, wow, man, they allowed them to get that close to him. It's pretty interesting. DJT will be in New York City tomorrow to remember 9/11, and then tomorrow night he'll be in the Bronx for a Yankees game. Authorities in Larimer County believe that they have found the body of the missing paddle boarder. The search began Sunday afternoon at Horsetooth Reservoir. The sheriff's office says that the identity and cause of death will be released at a later time. Boulder man is recovering after being attacked by a bear. CPW says the man was walking his two dogs along High Street on Sunday night. A bear and her cub reportedly charged the man. He fell while he was running away. The bear then slashed him across his back, leaving some wounds. Rangers were unable to find the bear. CPW says, you know what? You better be vigilant about securing trash cans in Boulder in that area up and down the foothills, reporting bear sightings as hibernation season approaches. Broncos ownership say that they are going to build a brand new dome stadium with a retractable roof on 58 acres at Burnham Yard, which is east of I-25, where all the train tracks are near 6th Ave. You can expect to see Denver hosting their first Super Bowl in the city sometime after they complete the project in 2030. I would be surprised if that doesn't happen. Having plenty of sunlight will help the turf situation along with the retractable roof if they roll the real grass in and out of the stadium, as Billy and Jeff were talking about earlier in the show. It's all stadium talk, football and stadium talk. Love it. The Supreme Court has agreed to hear arguments on whether DJT's global tariffs are legal. The focus of the arguments will be on Trump using a law meant for times of emergency to impose tariffs without the help of Congress. The Supreme Court said it would hear the arguments in November. The stabbing in Charlotte on the light rail fires up anyone with a heart. Soft on crime. In this situation, this case, again, leftist judges, DAs in the city, and women of power allowing this murderer to commit 14 priors, 14 crimes, and then released. Here's Geraldo.
Criminally insane, I submit, have no right, once they act out. Everybody that kills someone's crazy. I mean, I think it's crazy to kill someone. But
no,
this
I think
person
some are bad. I think some people are just bad.
He allegedly muttered racial statements that no one's talked about.
This guy's crazy.
So I'm not going to repeat them after the act.
This guy's crazy.
He had a motive. His motive was that this was a white chick. That's his motive.
Maybe.
His motive was that this is the most vulnerable, hateful to him, vile symbol to him, a blonde chick sitting in front of him in the subway.
Possibly. Good chance. Jury selection continues today in the federal trial of Ryan Ruth, the man accused of trying to assassinate President Trump. Speaking of crazy, that joker is crazy. The death toll is rising in Nepal after a social media crackdown led to violent protests. Last week, the government of the Himalayan country banned dozens of online platforms, leading to violent protests on Monday of mostly young people who set fire to government buildings and the homes of politicians in Kathmandu. 22 people have died in the protests. This one I can't follow. You guys can help me on this one. Breaking Bad actor Raymond Cruz has been arrested after allegedly spraying women with water. The incident reportedly happened on Monday outside of his L.A. home. Cruz, who played Tuco Salamanca in the hit series, he says the women were harassing him as he was washing his car outside of his house, so he sprayed them with a hose. And he's doing court next month, only in L.A.
Really?
Yes.
That's what they're going to prosecute?
Yes.
Golly.
Yes. Unbelievable. My goodness.
Leftists
Ridiculous.
are so bad.
You got it. Hollywood. Crazy. 57 in North Glen, 58 in Lone Tree, 60 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Low pressure over the Pacific Northwest will slowly migrate eastward in the days ahead, keeping a moist, mild southwest wind flow into Colorado, keeping temperatures warm and giving us a daily chance through Saturday For afternoon and evening, scattered showers and thunderstorms. Highs will be 80s, overnight lows 50s. Weather is a service of L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call L&L Heating and Air Conditioning at 720-851-1691. Visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Well, friend of the program, Barbara Kirkmeyer, had a big announcement last night. Let's play the video she released.
It's time. It's time for a governor who knows how to govern and who believes Colorado's best days are still ahead. I'm Barb Kirkmeyer. I'm a mom, a grandmother, and a lifelong Coloradoan. And today, I'm announcing my campaign for governor of Colorado. I believe in a Colorado where families can afford to live, work, and thrive. A Colorado where we lower the cost of healthcare and insurance, make housing attainable, protect our kids, strengthen our schools, and build safer communities. A Colorado where businesses can grow, innovate, and create good-paying jobs without the government standing in the way. This is the Colorado I know we can have. I know what it's like to work hard for every dollar. I grew up poor on a dairy farm in northern Jefferson County. Starting at age 7, I fed the calves before and after school. My allowance was like $2 a month. By the time I was 9, I had saved enough money to buy my own heifer calf and join 4-H. That's how I learned the value of hard work, perseverance, and saving for the future. I worked my way through college, and I went on to build small businesses, from owning a dairy farm to running a floral shop. In the 1990s, I got involved in politics when I led the fight to stop new landfills in Weld County. Everyone told me it wasn't possible, but I won that fight. Later, as a Weld County Commissioner, I helped guide my county to one of the only debt-free counties in the entire state. As a state senator, I stood up for taxpayers, fought to lower costs, and invested historic amounts of funding into education. Now, some say you have to be a Democrat to win statewide in Colorado. I just don't think so. I say Colorado is ready for a new direction, ready for a common-sense, conservative leader who will roll up her sleeves, work with people, and deliver real results, not political games. As your governor, I won't raise your taxes. I'll fight for affordability, make our communities safe, fix our darn roads, and partner with local governments to actually solve problems. I'll make sure our kids grow up in a Colorado full of opportunity with a future that is brighter and stronger than ever before. And just like Lancaster Lupton, the guy who first built this fort back in 1836, he took a risk. He established a fort and a trade enterprise on the wild prairie along the Front Range of the Rocky Mountains. Just like him, I've got the guts, determination, entrepreneurial spirit, and the vision for a better future. Together, we will build a Colorado that works for everyone. Join me at KirkmeyerForColorado.com. It's time. It's time for a governor who will get to work for you, your family, and for Colorado's future.
She joins us now, Senator Barbara Kirkmeyer. Senator, thank you for taking the time.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me.
So big news yesterday. You announced your candidacy. You gave us a sense of your background. Let's start basic. Why you want to be the governor? Why do you think you're the best person to serve in that role?
Well, first of all, I love this state. And as you heard in my launch video that, I'm a fourth-generation Coloradoan, grew up on a dairy farm. And, gosh darn it, this is my state. And I am going to be a governor, and I'm going to run a campaign that speaks to the needs and the interests of those folks that are here in Colorado. Things like affordability, lowering insurance costs, safer communities, better schools, lower cost of government, and gosh darn it, we need to fix our roads, right? So,
amen to that.
Folks, I know. I think folks are saying very clearly we need a change of direction here in this state. That things are not going the right way. They want leadership. They want to. You know what? I'm just going to go back to my opening line. It's time. It's time that we have a governor who actually governs in this state and that realizes that Colorado's best days are still ahead of us.
That's Senator Barbara Kirkmeyer. She's running for governor. Senator, we've had great friends that are also in this race, people like Scott Bottoms, Mark Baisley, Greg Lopez, and others. Why are you the best to represent the Republican Party and win that nomination?
Sure, and thank you for the question. And you're right. There are quite a few folks that have jumped into this race, and they are friends, and they're people that I work with. So, I appreciate that. But here's the thing. Some folks in my party are just content with making a point. For me, I think voters see right through that, and I'm committed to making a difference for Colorado. And all you have to do is just go back and look at my past and my accomplishments from ensuring that we have funding through the Kids Matter Fund for education. I know how to build roads. I mean, we have the only county highway in Weld County, and I helped get that road built. And, so it's roads, it's safer communities. I mean, just go talk to my sheriff. He'll tell you what I did as a county commissioner. Just go look at my record. You'll know that I've been working to make communities safer. So, I mean, it's all of those things, my experience, my qualifications, but just my list of accomplishments. They just add up, and I don't believe anybody has that kind of background.
Now, what makes you unique in this race is that you have served on the Joint Budget Committee, the state of Colorado facing $1 billion budget shortfall. We're spending a lot in this state, and it feels like the tax burden on the average Coloradan is just getting worse and heavier and heavier. How do we adjust the budget? How do we create a state that flourishes with a limited government?
Yeah, you're right. I am on the Joint Budget Committee. I forgot to mention that. and I led my county to zero debt and lowered the property taxes. So anyways, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, but you're right about the increasing taxes. I mean, I've spent my entire career in politics protecting Tabor and making sure, I was the campaign chair on the No on HH. But so we've got to protect Tabor. But we just spent 6 days in what I call a special session or a summer session. It wasn't really that special, and it wasn't extraordinary. So we spent those 6 days, though, essentially not the Republicans, but the Democrats, our friends across the aisle, raising taxes on people and working to balance the budget on the backs of small businesses and individuals, and that's just not right. We need better leadership, and we need a governor who calls a special session and tries to say it's a budget session, but at the same time he doesn't give us any ability to cut spending. All that happened is we made our budget situation worse, and we increased taxes on individuals. So it's going to take a change in leadership. It's going to take a change in the direction that we're going, and that's I'm going to look at that budget. I was asked the other day, like, what are some of the first things you're going to do? And I said, one of the first things I'm going to do is comb through that budget, scour through it, and come up with cuts. Gosh darn it, if Governor Bill Owens can do it when he was governor during a recession, and Governor John Hickenlooper can do it when he was a governor during the Great Recession, I'm pretty sure that Governor Kirkmeyer will be able to get it handled, and we'll get our budget in shape within that first year.
That's Senator Barbara Kirkmeyer. She's running for governor here in Colorado for the Republican nominee. Senator, we hosted Dave Flaherty yesterday from Magellan Strategies. New poll out, 30% approval rate among Democrats, roughly 30% approval rate among Republicans. When I've talked and been down to, for instance, the Bernie Sanders rally, AOC, high favorability in his poll. It looks like what Democrats and I would say even moderates and independents want in the state of Colorado right now is a more aggressive Democrat Party. 30,000 people showed out for AOC and Bernie Sanders, and they weren't Antifa. Some were, kind of protesters, but a lot of them just kind of boomers that seem to want a Democrat Party and a Colorado government that's more progressive. How do you win in a state where Republicans aren't winning statewide, where polls show that what they want is more progressive leadership? What becomes the message to them? How do you win them over?
Jeff, if they're asking for more progressive leadership, you're not going to get that from this common sense conservative. I mean, that's not going to happen. I think that's part of the problem that we have had in the last few years, especially, during this administration and when we have one-party control in our state where the House, the Senate, and the governor's office are all controlled by Democrats. it's very clear, even in that poll and in other polls that I've seen, that people are saying we need to chart a different course, that we are going in the wrong direction. And it is unaffiliated who I think are saying it the loudest. They're saying, look, we don't think the Democrats right now that are in leadership positions, and that poll that came out on Monday clearly shows that they don't believe that Governor Polis is doing a great job, and they don't believe Bennett or Hickenlooper are doing that great of job. I mean, their disapproval ratings are high. I mean, and they shouldn't, after you've been in office that long, they shouldn't be that high. You should be able to start talking about things that you've done. But, people, and like I said, unaffiliates are saying, look, we've got to have leadership that is willing to roll up their sleeves and actually go to work and work for the people in this state. And get away from some of these far left extreme agenda items, things that they've been working on. We just need a change in direction, and we need that change right now. And the people that are in charge right now clearly are not getting it right. But for us as Republicans, in the last few years, we've had, differences within our own party where we've gone after each other. I feel like our party was pretty much completely divided, especially back in 2023, 2024 time frame, and our candidates have been terribly outspent. But the big difference now is, like I just was saying, 8 years of unbridled far left lawmaking. Look what it's done. Look what it's done for our state. And people are feeling it every day in their pocketbook, in decisions that are being made for them down at the Capitol, instead of, how about we just let parents parent and, teachers teach, and government just gets out of the way.
That's Senator Barbara Kirkmeyer. She's running for governor. We're getting text messages, and I want to ask you this. People are saying what we need is the most conservative voice to fight back and to be combative and take it to the left. Is that the best direction? Is that a winning direction for Colorado? Are you the most conservative candidate in this primary? And like I mentioned, is that a recipe for success in your mind?
I don't know if that's a recipe for success. I would say look back at some of our previous elections in primaries, and it doesn't appear to have been a success then. But I don't know all the candidates running in this race. There are 16 Republicans who have filed, and I don't know them all. So I can't tell you if I am the most conservative, but I can tell you that I am the most common sense conservative that actually gets the job done. And that's what I think we need in this state.
That's Senator Barb Kirkmeyer. She announced that she's running for governor. Big list of Republicans because Polis has got to tap out this time. So there's an opportunity. Now, talking about the political landscape, Senator Kirkmeyer, the Democrats do have some wind in their back based on some voter affiliation in previous elections, but they come to the table with the idea that government is going to be the solution. Now, I believe you've accurately identified that many voters in Colorado feel that they're being left behind by the economy, not being able to afford housing, difficulty with cars, health care, child care. Can that new couple that just got married afford to not only just buy a house, but even to have a baby? Now, Senator Kirkmeyer, where I'm going with this, you are, so far, one of the budget experts. Talking about Colorado, when we throw something like Weiser or Bennett on the other side of the aisle, they don't have the nuts and bolts experience with the financial difficulties the state of Colorado has. Your advantage is the boring stuff with the money. But how do you win with the boring stuff about the money?
Well, I'm going to disagree with you a bit there, Bill, because I don't think the boring stuff is about the money. And I think most people, when they're sitting around their kitchen table or dining room table figuring out their budgets, and their home budgets, they don't think the boring stuff is about the money either. And government has reached time and too many times into their pocket and asked for tax increases. And like I said, during the special session, we increased taxes to the tune of about $250 million when, our federal folks went and lowered our taxes. So I think it's really about getting our message out and really about getting my message out. And like I said, I am going to run a campaign that speaks to the needs and the interests of the people in this state. I am running to be a governor for everyone in the state, not just a certain party, not just the president. running to be the governor for any president or any certain party. I'm running to run a campaign that says, here's how we are going to get back on the right track. I truly believe that our best days are ahead of us and that we need to address things like the cost of health care and the cost of insurance, and that we need to address those things related to public safety so that people feel safer in their communities, because that's what I'm hearing. And like I said, fixing our roads. Gosh, I heard about this a long time ago. We were talking about it in the late 90s. It came up in 2009, 2013, and then it kind of died down, but it is coming back, and people are upset over their infrastructure system, the road system in this state. So I think what it is, it's about getting the message out, having a clear vision, being committed, and then being willing to be accountable. I think that's what's missing with our leadership now. Especially, our leadership in the state, as I said, it's one-party control. And what's been missing is the accountability. They think they can just pass anything and nobody's watching. A good example is, look what just happened during the summer session that we just had. 6 days we were there. No opportunity to cut spending. 6 days of listening to Democrats bash Republicans at the federal level for cutting taxes, of all things, for goodness sakes. Then 6 days of increasing taxes. And then 2 days after the special session was over, the governor first meets with the press before he meets with the Joint Budget Committee, to let us know that he is cutting Medicaid provider rates. And what that does is it cuts access to health care. Certainly for the over 1.2 million people who are on Medicaid, it will impact their health care and access to health care, but it will impact access to health care for everyone in the state of Colorado. In case people haven't realized it, over the course of time, when this governor has been in charge and this one-party control has been in charge, we have taken our hospital system from being a thriving hospital system to a barely getting by system. We have 25 counties, and I think it actually might be 26 now, with Delta Hospital closing their maternal health care services, but 25 counties that have maternal health care deserts in this state. That is just wrong, and that needs to be fixed. And that's what they have been doing in our one-party control. So, again, I think people are telling us very clearly, in any poll that I have seen in the last 2 or 3 months, they are saying we need a change of direction. The one-party control, this legislature, has been going in the wrong direction. We're worried about jobs. We're worried about small businesses. We're worried about, our bottom line, our pocketbooks. And this legislature is off on a whole totally different tangent and going the wrong way. So I believe when I get my message out there, when people say, gosh, there's an alternative to one-party control that's been doing quite frankly, not an eloquent word, but crappy job, I think they're ready for a change and they're ready to vote differently and support Republicans, support those people who have the message that they know how to lead and that they can make the change.
That's Senator Barbara Kirkmeyer. She's running for governor. Senator, who's worse, Michael Bennet or Phil Weiser?
Well, it's a toss-up. To me, you've got Attorney General Weiser, who thinks his job is to sue the federal government every time he turns around. In the last, 6-7 months, maybe, let's just say in the last year, he has sued the federal government like 35 or 36 times. So he's averaging almost like one a week here, like trying to, sue the federal government. I don't think that's supposed to be the Attorney General's job. I'm not sure that he's looking out in the best interest of the people of the state of Colorado, that he's more interested in pushing his political career. So I think that's not good. And then you've got U.S. Senator Bennet, who says when he wants to run, what he said when he wanted to run for governor is that he's going to reform Tabor, a.k.a. we're going to get rid of Tabor and raise your taxes. Can't agree with that. And most of the people in the state will not agree with that. The overwhelming majority have told us time and time again they love Tabor. And then he also says he's going to fight with Trump. Well, you know what? He's back there in D.C. right now. He has every opportunity to go do his job as a U.S. Senator and do what he feels is in the best interest of this state. But instead, he's running away because he's just going to come here and try and be the governor of the state of Colorado. Seriously? What has he accomplished in the last 17 years, almost 17 years of being a U.S. Senator? Because I'm not clear on what that is. But running away from the fight is not the kind of guy I want leading this state.
That's Senator Barb Kirkmeyer, who yesterday announced a run for Colorado's governor. Let's move from liberal candidates to liberal issues. Bell Policy Center says we need a graduated income tax. Are they right? Are they wrong?
No.
Why or why not?
Those people are wrong, and they're just crazy. I'm just saying, a graduated income tax, had they not been listening to the people in the state of Colorado, a graduated income tax, and it looks to me like anybody over $100,000 would be getting an increase in their taxes. I've been fighting to decrease taxes. That's what I've been hearing out there when I've been out, when I was running again for state senate, when I've been out on the No on HH campaign. I think, did they just not get the message? Have they just not seen the polling? People love Tabor. And they're not only putting out a graduated income tax measure that they want to try and push out there. They are they're also looking to make changes to Tabor, to the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights. That's just not going to fly, and it's wrong. What is wrong in this state is we have one-party control that has been basically overspending year over year over year when it comes to our budget. And all you got to do is go back and look all the way back to March of 2021, after we got all of those, billions of dollars from the federal government during COVID that was supposed to be spent on the public health emergency, that was supposed to be spent to help recover from the public health emergency. Who even knows where all those funds went? Who even knows what our return on investment has been for those? But I can tell you what they did. They started new offices, they started a new department, a new administration, and over the course of the last 7 years, we have hired close to 7,000 new employees, state full-time employees. So these Democrats need to learn how to cut spending and really put the funding towards those things that we have to have and not those things that are their pet projects and things they would like to have. I mean, a prime example is the governor. He did actually request in his budget last year money for the that pedestrian walkway bridge, that goofy bridge of his. And you know what? When he found out that was a no-go, then he started thinking, well, maybe I could put money from that he got directly to him. They're called custodial funds. Put money from the COVID, dollars, close to $30 million on that bridge. And I'm like, why aren't you putting that $30 million towards our rural healthcare system? So it's things like that. I mean, Bell Policy is the one who keeps pushing these goofy, and I'm sure they're going to criticize me over that, but these goofy policies of increasing our taxes, they've done it for the last, at least that I know of, last 5 or 6 years, and they just need to stop. They need to get on board and have an understanding where the people in the state are, because they're not for increasing their taxes.
She's been the top Republican on the Joint Budget Committee fighting the Democrat overspending that's been taking place in the state for years. She's now running for the Republican nominee for governor. That's Barbara Kirkmeyer. You can learn more about her by going to kirkmeyerforcolorado.com, kirkmeyerforcolorado.com, or follow her on X at kirkmeyerforgov. She's always been so generous with her time coming on to explain budget issues, and now the fact that she announced it yesterday joins us the following morning. It's a real honor. Senator Kirkmeyer, thank you for your time this morning.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you all. Appreciate it. And appreciate you all being so engaged and keeping the public informed. You guys are doing a great job. Thanks.
I appreciate that.
Thanks.
Senator Barbara Kirkmeyer, what do you think? Lots of candidates out there. Do you think she's the right one to represent the Republican Party? Interesting statements there. She said, I may not be the most conservative, but I'm the most common sense conservative. Does that matter?
Yeah.
Should we elect the most conservative and take it right to the left? Or is it somebody that can navigate some of these complications and win over independents that, according to Dave Flaherty's poll, are looking at somebody like an AOC?
I got a question on that one for especially conservative voters here in Colorado. Does the scoreboard matter, or does purity matter? Now, on the scoreboard, do you want more Republican representation? But would you take it if it's not as conservative as you want? Would you take the gamble that even more R's, even if some of them might be more liberal than you are, listener, could get more Republican policies across the line? Or is purity of conservatism better? Do you care about the scoreboard, or do you care about the players?
And I'll raise this question because this is a real life scenario that happened.
Yes.
So I worked on the Romney campaign.
Yes, you did.
Mitt Romney lost pretty big. to Barack Obama.
Yeah.
We then went around as a party, and I was a part of all these meetings, talking about how we need to appeal more to moderates. And then by 2016, Donald Trump comes barreling through. And was he appealing to moderates on things like immigration, for instance? Not necessarily. Yet he wins that, goes on to win the popular vote in 2024. Was that a more moderate approach, or did he win because of the power of his personality?
Got a question
it's
there,
all
though.
Out there.
Is Trump a classic conservative, or is he a populist? Is that the message behind? If Donald Trump's the one that came down the stairs and won, does he fit the mold of that classic purity test of a conservative? Or in another day and age, maybe even another month, does he get the tag of rhino?
Join the conversation. Who are you voting for right now? Let's just throw some of the names out there. You've got Scott Bottoms, state rep, pastor down Colorado Springs. You got Mark Baisley, state senator, former state rep, business guy, engineer. You've got Greg Lopez, former congressman, running around and talking with folks in a storied career with grassroots conservatives. Who am I missing here?
There's a long list.
I know. There's like 14 of them, and those are the ones that come to mind at the top of my mind. Who am I missing? Give us a call, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115. Who should the Republican nominee be for governor? Want to hear from you. Great conversation with Barb Kirkmeyer. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Who do you support for Republican nominee for governor? Barbara Kirkmeyer announcing her candidacy yesterday, joining the Jeff and Bill Show. A lot of great friends that are in this race. Mark Baisley, state senator. Scott Bottoms, state representative. Greg Lopez, former member of Congress. Some other guys that I guess have announced, I just don't really know them. Jason Clark, he's a money manager. Independent candidate in 2010, and Jason Mikesell, Teller County Sheriff. Think a Republican can win statewide, Bill?
Ooh, depends. I think a Republican can, but it's going to have to be a different message than many Republicans would probably consider. It's, in all honesty, as we're talking about before the break, it's probably going to have to lean a little bit into a populist message. There's going to have to be a little bit of that in there somewhere in order to catch fire. It's also, this would be the caution that I have for the Republican candidates for governor. While the social battle cry gets a lot of attention and gets the donors, it's not going to get you votes. I think in our previous election cycles, I think it's been shown that trying to fight the social battles in this state isn't going to be a winner. But if you can fight the economic battles, the kitchen table battles, I think you do have a really good chance, specifically because of who you are facing in Weiser and Bennett. And part of that is going to be Bennett hasn't been here, so anybody that has been is going to be able to say, hey, look at how well you've been managing the budget in Washington. What is it up to now? How many trillion? Why do we need that here? Why do we need all of this here? That's going to be the argument, is that why do we need that sensibility here in Colorado when we're already facing, we have and again, you go back to Tabor, we have a series of guardrails that are set up so that we don't repeat what you did in Washington. Why should we trust you back here, Mr. Bennett, with our money and our budget and our finances, given how you spent and what your priorities were in Washington? And how do you know what really matters to Colorado at that point anyway? And then Weiser, you go after them, not knowing budget issues and pick and choosing where and how he's using his office, especially the amount of times he's charging at windmills with Donald Trump. I think you've got some play in there, but you've got to be careful because that can also get into some of those social issues that can be losers, in my opinion, for some more conservative candidates. So that's going to be the very, very difficult line, as I feel conservative Coloradans want you to fight the social battles when I believe the proper path for a Republican to the governor's mansion is through the economic battles and the economic pain. But can you navigate that?
Text messages saying what made Donald Trump successful was the power of his leadership and his personality, and that's what people are looking for. To that point, interesting was reading a chapter in the book by David McCullough, The American Spirit, which is a series of speeches he's given over the years. And in his conversation about Teddy Roosevelt, he talks about the power of the personality in securing the presidency, in the sense that that's what got Teddy Roosevelt in there. In fact, this was given years before Donald Trump was even on the scene, but you could swap out through that chapter Donald Trump's name for Teddy Roosevelt's name and probably come to the same conclusion, that it was the power of his personality and leadership that secured him, because people are drawn to that. And there's a great point in there that he goes, Teddy Roosevelt made decisions based upon his view of leadership and then just let Congress debate not the issue, but Teddy Roosevelt. And I sat there going, well, that's exactly what we're dealing with right now. They're not necessarily debating issues. They're debating Donald Trump. So Donald Trump just drives his agenda forward, and people are debating Donald Trump similarly to the way they did with Teddy Roosevelt. So the importance and the power of personality. Look, Colorado Democrats have a formula for winning. Pale, male, and stale. It's been that way whether you're Mike Johnston, Michael Bennett, John Hickenlooper, Jared Polis, Phil Weiser. Jenna Griswold being a little bit of the exception there, but she's still pretty stale and pale. But in all those cases, you don't have dynamic personalities. Jared Polis, I've been in many rooms where he's given speeches. He's one of the most boring speakers ever. Michael Bennett is a wet blanket. John Hickenlooper is a pale cracker, a stale cracker. I mean, these are some of the most boring people, and they get elected statewide.
So here's the thing. If these boring people get elected, does that personality necessarily matter? And that leadership.
Fascinating.
And that's the thing. And leadership, I think, leadership for leadership's sake is something that I push back on. Not just you. I'm not just talking you. I'm just talking in general. Because we can go back to the ramp up to the Second Iraq War. That was superb leadership. But look where it led us to. Look what it led us to. Look at the direction it led us to. Same thing as far as the military actions in Afghanistan. Great leadership. They did a wonderful job making the case, and how'd that work out? So just because you're necessarily a leader, sometimes the people behind in line need to ask where we're going, because that sometimes matters. And I think that's kind of the issue, is that you need to have that leadership, I believe, but I don't think you can lead based on the social issues. If you can provide leadership based on the economic issues, if you can come out, and I'm looking for the candidate, if the candidate can come out and go, here is my plan to make housing more affordable in Colorado, and it has to be something outside the sphere of, I'm going to mandate they build these things, or I am going to have them build more houses, you're going to have to work through that a little bit more as far as what does that look like? How do we increase the investment? What does home ownership look like? If you can solve that problem, you probably can sail your way into the governor's mansion. But the question is, can you solve that problem?
Give us a call. I've got a poll up right now. If you go to x.com/Jeff Hunt, who are you supporting to be Republican nominee for Colorado governor? Mark Baisley, Scott Bottoms, Barbara Kirkmeyer, Greg Lopez, others. You could write in the comments there because I'm only allowed to pick 4 on X polls. But let me know. Would love to hear from you. Text message from 0556. I support Lopez because he's reaching out to the independents, those that have been disenfranchised by politicians. I agree with you, they write. Economy is where it is at. All right, let's talk Guy Rees. Great experience with these folks, right? They're a great middle level when you're looking for personal design, guidance, without paying for a crazy personal designer at those outrageous costs, while also not being left to your own devices wandering around Home Depot or Lowe's trying to figure out what paint you should buy because there's like 15 different types of paint. So Guy Rees, great middle level guidance for our family, professional design work, helping us select Hunter Douglas custom blinds, shades, and shutters for our home. My wife has been thrilled with her experience with them. We connected with Crystal over at the Guy Rees location in Parker. She has come out to our house, brought samples, brought paint color samples as well, so we could see exactly what it's going to look like in our house. And it's been a wonderful experience. Whether you need window treatments or full room decor, they're there to help you. They bring a personalized in-home consultation directly to you. So you can get the same expert advice right in your home that I'm getting by visiting GuyRees.com. That's GUIRYS.com, GUIRYS.com to schedule your in-home consultation. Go see the great people at Guy Rees. You'll be sure to thank me. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Pull up on x.com/Jeff Hunt. Who are you supporting to be Republican nominee for Colorado governor? Mark Baisley, Scott Bottoms, Barbara Kirkmeyer, Greg Lopez. Bill, how do you think Barbara did during the interview?
I think she did well. I think that she showed an understanding of the pain points from Colorado voters, especially focusing on roads and economy. But is that sexy enough to win? The idea is she didn't necessarily fight those social battles, but that's what gets the eyeballs. That's what gets the attention. So can she navigate that? As long as she presents herself, I believe, as a good alternative and someone that knows the numbers, I think she can do well.
You know who I'd love to see running for office at some point? Maybe not this one, but at some point, because I think he's a great guy.
Yeah.
Dan Caplis with Dan Caplis Law. Let me tell you about Dan. I've known Dan for well over a decade. Pro-life, pro-family, pro-faith, pro-America. Right there with us on the values. He has invested 40 years of his life helping people who've been hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado state history. Dan Caplis Law is the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Caplis Law is a serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, give him a call. Here's the phone number, 303-770-5551, 303-770-5551, or hit dancaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S Law.com. Coming up in the next hour, Steve Reams is joining us, Weld County Sheriff. Got a retweet from Elon Musk. We're going to talk all about this. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710.